It is Tuesday morning here on the East Coast, and that means the presidential election is 1 week from today. In American history, there has never been a natural disaster so close to a presidential election, and political analysts will surely argue about the impact of this event on the election for many years to come. But there are also potential constitutional questions. With such a widespread disaster, is it possible, is it even legal, that a presidential election could be postponed? NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams has been looking into that, and he joins me live now from Washington, D.C. What a guy, being up at 2:30 in the morning for us. But this is a question that I had myself. What did you find out, Pete?
Well, the answer to both questions is yes, it's possible, it's legal, and I can almost guarantee it won't happen. Now, the Constitution says that Congress has the authority to set the date for presidential elections. And since the year 1845, it has said that the election will be the Tuesday after the first Monday in November. That's a federal statute, not the Constitution, that actually sets the date. And Congress can easily change a law whenever it wants to, but they would have to get with it right now to change it. But there are lots of problems that come along with this, Chris. And here's just a basic look at it. You know, the Congress sets the date for electing the electors who elect the president. But it's the states that run elections in the U.S. And there are all kinds of problems. First of all, very few states have a procedure for delaying or suspending elections. Florida does. It has a lot of experience with hurricanes, but it's one of the few that actually sets out how you do this. Secondly, it's one thing for a state when there's a nation or there's a statewide problem like a hurricane that affects polling places throughout the state. But with a national election, sure, you're going to have a large part of the Northeast affected by what's left of Sandy. But out in the Midwest and the West, they've felt no experience from this whatsoever. So states in that part of the country probably wouldn't look too kindly on any effort to postpone elections. Now, you could also say, oh, we're going to only postpone the presidential elections so that states can go ahead and have their own elections. But if they do that and separate out the presidential election for another day, that would undoubtedly suppress the vote for the presidential election when that happened. And there are all kinds of other questions that haven't been answered. If you postpone an election or you set a new election date, what do you do with the votes that have already been counted? Early voting is a big thing now in many states. And what about absentee votes? All those questions remain unanswered. So finally, Chris, consider this. Not once in U.S. history, not for 9/11, not for disasters, not even the Civil War, has a presidential election been postponed.
So state and local elections have been postponed because of natural disasters, but never anything at the national level.
State and local elections get postponed all the time. And as a matter of fact, in New York State, there was a primary on September 11th, on the day of the suicide hijackings, and that election was suspended. But in fact, it took the state a while to figure out how to do that, because most states just aren't accustomed to this.
I mean, do you have any sense of what it would take? I mean, would it have to be, for example, if this had happened 1 week from today, then that might be a precipitating reason to do something this unprecedented?
Well, if it happened 1 week from today, in other words, if you knew that the hurricane was coming on Monday, then presumably Congress could scramble together, or all the states could agree to postpone the elections in their states. And in fact, you know, if you think about it, the Constitution, although it does set next Tuesday as the date for the election of the electors, the Constitution also says that if the state doesn't get that done in time, then the legislature of the state can choose the presidential electors. So there are ways around this. But under the scenario we face now, it seems virtually impossible that there's going to be any change like that.
Pete Williams, burning the midnight oil to answer our questions. Thank you, Pete. Good to talk to you.